Hi everybody, I'm Ryan, and we're going to look at the Pioneer metagame over the course of the last week. Now, this is data taken from the most recent regional championship alongside premier events on Magic Online, all sort of congregated together. What's important to understand about this is technically a winner's metagame because especially in the challenges and super qualifiers on Magic Online, they only publish like the winning deck list, the top 32 normally. So keep that in mind. This is not like a pure metagame, but this is close enough and what you're going to be seeing at the top tables. So let's jump into it. This is the metagame from all of those things by percentage. At the tippity top, we have Rakdos Aggro, the new sort of fling sly deck. The second most popular deck with 13.7% of the meta is Blue-White Control. The third most popular deck with 7.5% of the meta is Izzet Phoenix. The fourth most popular deck with 6.7% is Rakdos Transmogrify. And the fifth most popular deck with 6.5% is Jund Sacrifice. Now, as you can see, there are some dominant and extremely popular decks that's important for you to be really prepared for, like Rakdos Aggro and Blue-White Control. But the meta is very widespread, especially keeping in mind that this is a winner's metagame. So let's look at these decks. In fifth is Jund Sacrifice, which is basically the shell of the old red-black Sacrifice deck with Mayhem Devil and Cauldron Familiar and Witch's Oven, things like that, except they have Yigra in it. Yigra being very powerful as a finisher, but also creates an infinite combo that just kills your opponent alongside multiple Cauldron Familiars. And so this updated version has been taking Pioneer by storm and is now the most popular version of the Sacrifice archetype. The fourth most popular deck is Rakdos Transmogrify, which has jumped around Pioneer here and there, but in my most recent memory, this is the first time that it's really hit the limelight and become a high tier 2 deck. It uses a Rakdos mid-range shell with removal spells and Thoughtseize and Fable the Mirror Breaker and whatnot, except it plays Transmogrify to hit one of the many tokens that this deck makes in order to hit an Atraxa. And once an Atraxa slams on the battlefield, they effectively draw so many cards that they just get well ahead of their opponent and can use the Rakdos mid-range shell to win. The third most popular deck is Izzet Phoenix, which is the deck everybody thought was going to be sort of tier 0 after the bannings. And frankly, not a lot has changed with this deck. It's a deck that tries to cast as many instant sorceries as possible, mills cards, discards cards to fill up their graveyard to eventually cast 3 instant sorceries and bring back 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 Arc-like Phoenix from the graveyard to be able to jam for a whole bunch. And then besides that, it draws a whole bunch of cards, removes your opponent's creatures, and is effectively a tempo deck. It's very powerful and attacks on multiple axes, so it's pretty hard to deal with, but it's reasonably hard to play 100% correctly, which can scare some people off. The second most popular deck is Blue-White Control. This is likely becoming popular because it does a good job against the aggressive decks that are becoming more and more popular in Pioneer. But it does exactly what it says on the can. It removes things, counters things, board wipes things, and then gets ahead and finishes the game with Planeswalkers and Manlands. It's right about your most traditional Blue-White Control deck. One of the innovations that's come out recently for extra edge against these aggressive decks and against Phoenix is High Noon, where players can only cast 1 spell per turn, which Blue-White Control rarely cares about because they can just do something during their turn and then also do something during their opponent's turn since most of the cards are instant. And the most popular deck is the Rakdos Aggro deck. And this is probably the new hotness of Pioneer. It's essentially a prowess shell with a bunch of pump spells to be able to deal a ton of damage at once, but alongside it, it has sort of a fling combo in Callous Sellsword, where after you've pumped a whole bunch, hit your opponent for 7 or 8 or 9 or whatever, you can 1 mana red fling the creature at your opponent to effectively double that damage. And if you do it on a Heartfire hero, it sort of triples the damage because they deal combat damage, you fling, trigger Heartfire hero, deal power, and then the fling resolves, deal the power. And so this deck can kill totally out of nowhere. And while the metagame is slowly adapting, it's still hard to beat an aggro deck when it is the best and most popular deck. So there you have the Pioneer metagame. If you like this video and want to see more videos like this, please be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know what you thought down in the comments, and check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.